Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. In this video, we're going to talk about why it's important to not surround yourself with cheap people because with cheap people comes a limited mindset, and you'll find cheap people everywhere, right? 90, I'll say 5% of the people or the population are cheap people, and because of that, they think money is scarce and they're willing to sacrifice time to get money. For some reason, they don't think time is scarce, but they think money is, and it's actually the opposite. Money is plentiful, time is not. So what happens is that whenever they come to encounter a situation where they have to spend money because they think money is so scarce, they end up with a limited mindset and do nothing when problems arise. You ever notice that the vast majority of people do absolutely nothing when problems arise? And this applies to any sort of problem, right? And I remember when I first came to Georgia, I think I had this limited mindset too, but what was one of the things that made me change this limited mindset? Well, it's because I worked a lot of random odd jobs, and one of the jobs I worked for was like selling direct TV inside a Sam's Club. And it was very different for me. I'll say that, like, because approaching people like, "Do you want direct TV?" I'm like, "What am I doing here?" It's like Netflix is 9.99 and such a better option. And one of the things that they said during one of the trainings was like, "Hey, you're not looking for people who are cheap. You're looking for people who understand value." And that was kind of very contrarian to, I guess, what I encountered because everybody I know was just trying to quote save money. And and one of the things that I think I eventually came to realize is that that mindset held me back, right? And long story short, I did get fired from that job because after 1 month because I wasn't any good at it. But I did learn that one thing, which I think was very valuable, that you have to essentially be a consumer who understands that you spend money to get value, right? And one of the things that people always try to do is you ever notice that like if you try to sell people stuff, they're always trying to get free stuff out of you. And instead of saying, hey, like you have to have a healthy profit or cash flow, I'm just going to try to suck everything out of you. And so let's say, I'm a car salesman and I sell you a car way under market value. So I actually lose money on every single car that I make. So let's say like your car actually needs post-purchase support, right? Like, well, okay, you got it for free and you didn't let the vendor have, take a healthy profit. So what's the likelihood that you're going to get any post-purchase support? Nothing, because you're going to be out of business, right? So we all have to have a healthy mindset when it comes to money and not a limited one, and let people kind of take their fair share and not negotiate all the way down. Let them take a little bit, although hey, if people are willing to give you things for free, that's perfectly fine. But you don't have to, strip them to the bone, right? But that's the problem with a lot of people is that they're not willing to invest anything in no money in anything, right? And that's why like they wonder like, why am I not getting ahead in life? Is, well, you got to invest a little bit in order for things to grow, right? But the problem is that they come with a cheap mindset and they're not looking to spend money to obtain value. In fact, the, this kind of video was actually inspired by an encounter I had with a roof salesman yesterday. I need a new roof for a property that I have because there's a leak, and I remember when I first got the home inspection, the inspector was like, "Yeah, you got to replace the roof soon. It's working now, but eventually it will be at the end of its lifespan." And now because we got this leaks, it's like, dang, I gotta replace it, and I actually did get someone to fix it, but the fix is only last. He told me like a couple months at most. So looking into roof options, and when I was talking to roof salesman, he's like, "Yeah, I deal with a lot of real estate people," and he gave me two options. Like, and I actually did a YouTube poll on the channel about how option A, $800 more expensive, but you get a 10-year labor warranty. Option B, $800 more cheaper than option B, but you get a 2-year labor warranty. And look at this. I'm proud of most of you. 80% said option A, right? Because option A is looking for more value and you get to spend a little bit more. And like, oh my goodness, 10-year warranty. Of course, I'm going to spend that $800. But he told me that most people will actually pick option B in the real estate world because they're, quote, trying to save money. And I thought that was very curious how that's the case. But I was like, no, I'm not picking option B because if something breaks, I don't want to get off my butt and have to call people or no, like, spend more money than I have to. I want option A where you're going to give me the value, right? And unfortunately, and this is why most people should not be landlords, because if you're cheap and you come with a limited mindset, guess what happens? You do nothing when problems arise. And you could find easily in the Reddit where people talk about their landlords. Take a look at this: renters 3 months ago, landlord won't fix anything. This is in California. I've asked the landlord to fix many things in the house, such as the cabinet door, replace dishwasher since they're broken before I moved in. I didn't realize the dishwasher was broken until now since I don't use it and only store dishes in there. The water doesn't drain, hence the unit doesn't turn on anymore. It is starting to mold since the water doesn't drain. I have to ask the landlord to fix many things in the house, and they said okay, they will come to fix it, but never show up to fix it. I remind them every time that I went to pay the rent. I've been keeping it cool since the rent was cheaper than the current market. Should I tell them I will not pay rent until they start fixing the broken stuff in the house? They were broken before I moved in. The landlord even acknowledged that it was broken before I moved in, right? This is the cheap mentality that I'm talking about. And if your tenant has to go to Reddit to complain about you screwed up, right? You screwed up. But again, this is why, a lot of people probably shouldn't get into residential real estate and be a landlord because, we're not thinking about big picture here. Repairs always have to be done in house. You have to set some money for maintenance, vacancy, and repairs. And people act like, oh my goodness, I got, $200 of cash flow. What, like, and then they're wondering, like, what's going on, and then because they don't understand like the whole game plan, and which we've gone over in these other velocity banking videos, they're trying to save as much money as possible because they think money is limited. When in reality, you just got to pay off the debt so tied to the property. And if it's an old property, then you shouldn't have any debt. But probably a lot of the money that the tenant gave you went to the bank rather than to you, and that's why you have this limited mindset because you didn't know how to optimize your finances, right? But moral of the story is don't surround yourself with cheap people, right? Cheap people, when problems arise, nothing happens, right? And so that's why when you have cheap people, whenever they are surrounded by talent, they don't know how to use it because they don't know how to spend money to develop that talent. They don't. And another thing that I think is very interesting is that there's an article here about save a penny, lose a dollar. So it says recently repurchased new homes for our house to replace the original windows that were inefficient, and outdated. I requested 3 window companies to present their proposal for replacing them. Each company sent a representative to measure the windows, explain their product and services, and provide a quote. As expected, we had an economical option, a middle of the road option, and a high quality option. We immediately rejected the low end economical option because it was not worth the hassle to replace old windows with cheap ones if we need to replace them again in 5 years. We ended up going with the high quality option. Even though it was the highest bid, we chose to go with quality and peace of mind as well as resale value in the future, right? This is a very smart way to think, and most people don't think that way, right? And if you're going to spend some money, you always have a long warranty because huh, problems will arise, and I'm not perfect, and you're not perfect, and sometimes the machine or the work itself may be faulty. All right, so that's it for today. So again, don't save a penny and lose a dollar, right? And don't surround yourself with cheap people because they'll just ruin your life. And why? Because when problems arise, if you're associated with that cheap mindset, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen when problems arise, right? Okay, well, this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Another beautiful day. I'm so sleepy. I've been sleeping like a little baby. All right, have a great night, and we'll speak next time.